but basically a 15-year-old jumped in front of a train in New York. I believe she was a Staten Island teen. She'd been bullied at school and was being harassed actually at the moment that she killed herself. And she tweeted, I don't have the exact tweet, but basically something like, you know, I give up. I can't take it anymore. And right before the train was, you know, pulling into the station. Well, no, I'm sorry. The tweet was actually a little bit prior to that, probably earlier that day or the day before. But she was being bullied on the train platform on her way home from school and jumped in front of the train. So
heartbreaking.
The latest in a, I know, as Callie said, actually, Callie, make sure you tell me if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I will say Kaylee because that's my daughter's name. But she says in the chat that she's so over bullies.
She was really being slut shamed. I know we talked about slut shaming with Kristen Stewart, and I mean this demonstrates the difference. Is that this girl, you know, was being slut shamed in this way, and it made her kill herself, and that, you know, that shows the difference between what was happening with her and what was happening with Kristen Stewart.
I may be getting confused because I think Christina in the chat mentioned another girl. She said the girl that was on YouTube, and I know just a couple of weeks ago another girl killed herself after posting a YouTube video about being bullied. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, but there was another girl who, she's probably the most famous for, that V will go away in a minute, for putting a video, you know, explaining that she'd been bullied and how horrible it was. But another girl did it, and I think they corresponded for a short time, and then she killed herself. And I think that girl a few weeks ago, and I almost think she was Canadian, I'm not sure, but she was being slut-shamed for meeting some person over the internet. He turned out to be older than he was letting on, and he got her to, I think, flash herself in a photo.
Yes, she did.
And then he later, you know, tracked her down, found out what school she went to, and pretty basically blackmailed her into, you know, sending more photos, as, you know,
right.
of what
he had turned one of those into his profile picture on Facebook.
I want to talk about that because I feel like that this is different than slut shaming. What happened to that girl, which is equally tragic. She, I think, was preyed upon, you know, by an older male who was a predator. It was his specific purpose to engineer her into a sexual situation, this child, and then he used that to torment her. But the girl who jumped in front of the train, I think she had slept with one of the football players, I guess, at the school, and that's what she was being taunted for. So she's
the whole team was taunted
for having sex with this guy, and it's
you know,
that is slut shaming.
The whole thing is this big societal picture that we've been struggling with for hundreds of years, which is when a teenage boy sleeps with somebody, he's a hero, and when a teenage girl sleeps with somebody, she's a slut.
It also kind of ties into what you said, reminded me of the other thing that just happened a few weeks ago, I mean, but this isn't new, where female teachers sleep with male students.
Right.
They rarely do jail time. And the boys are celebrated for living out every boy's fantasy. But male teachers who have sex with female students, that's child molestation, and they go to jail.
Oh, yeah.
And the most recent one in the news was a boy who had sex with, I think she was a substitute teacher. And one night he tweeted, you know, stay tuned, I'm about to, you know, blow your minds and all this stuff. I'm about to get wasted when I come back. And he was at some party, had a few drinks, and then he started sharing not just tweets from this substitute teacher that he had sex with, but photos of her, like nude photos. And he became like a Twitter celebrity. He got tens of thousands of followers within hours. And he was being congratulated. And one of the tweets from the teacher that he was sleeping with said, "You are living out every boy's fantasy." So, I mean, you know, what is it that we expect for young girls to think when these types of things happen?
It's a double standard in all these situations.
I'm sorry. The problem I have, too, with this is the adults who don't think there's any harm being done because the child in question is a male.
Right, exactly.
When an adult is sexual with the kid before they're ready to be sexual, even if the kid thinks He is, because, I mean, those of us who are parents know that our kids think they're ready for all kinds of things that they're not ready for.
Right.
It changes who they are. And as a mother of a teenage boy, if I found out that that kind of thing was happening, y'all would be seeing me on the news.
Me too.
It would not be like, oh, it's no big deal, he's a boy. It would...
No, because look at the way they treated that Mary Kay Letourneau. Hey, they were in love, man. You know, the fact that she started sleeping with him when he was 12.
She had his babies, too, didn't she?
2 of them.
They met when he was 7.
Oop.
And she knew that they had a special connection. They waited till he was in 6th grade to consummate those.
Oh, well, that's nice of her.
Well, Karen, I just wanted to point out before we move on, Karen brought up a good point, because a lot of this stuff, when it's after the fact and we find out that, unfortunately, these young girls have taken their lives, a lot of this bullying goes on Facebook. So where are the parents? Like, how do you not know what's going on your kid's Facebook page? And Karen said that her child, there's not anything that they have access to that she doesn't have control of.
Same here.
I think parents are lazy. It's tiring to monitor. I think that's why people don't. You know, but
that's
vigilance.
You know, from the perspective of Carl, I can tell you that parents, they don't care.
You can't possibly be Carl because we know where you are.
That's right. You're in the house, John.
You're in the house.
His fault. That's high maintenance. And you knew it when you got involved.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know.
He should not be doing that.
As I tell my husband every time he asks me to like cook or clean, I'm like, you knew what you were getting.